Frederick Pabst, and Joseph Schultz. German American celebrations are held throughout the country, one of the most well known being the German American Strauben Parade in New York City, which is held every third Saturday in September. There are also major annual events in Chicago, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, St. Louis, and other cities. Like many other immigrants that came to the United States, an overwhelming number of people of German or partial German descent have essentially become Americanized. And it continues onwards. The first English settlers arrived at Jamestown, Virginia in 1607 and were accompanied by the first German American, Dr. Johannes Fleischer. He was followed in 1608 by 5 glassmakers and 3 carpenters or house builders. The first permanent German settlement in what became the United States was Germantown, Pennsylvania, founded near Philadelphia. 1683. John Jacob Astor detailed an oil painting by Gilbert Stuart in 1794. He was the first of the Astor family dynasty and the first millionaire in the United States, making his fortune in the fur trade and New York City real estate. Large numbers of Germans that migrated from the 1680s to 1760s, with Pennsylvania the favoured destination. They migrated to America for a variety of reasons. Push factors involve worsening opportunities for farm ownership in Central Europe, persecution of some religious groups, and military conscription. Pull factors were better economic conditions, especially the opportunities to own land and religious freedom. Often immigrants paid for their passage by selling their labour for a period of years of indentured service. As I said earlier, large sections of Pennsylvania and upstate New York attracted Germans. Most were Lutherans or German Reformed. Many belonged to small religious sects such as the Moravians or Mennonites. German Catholics did not arrive in large numbers until after the War of 1812. In 1709, Protestant Germans from Pfalz or the Palatine region of Germany escaped conditions of hardship, travelling first to Rotterdam and then to London. The Queen helped them get her colonies in America. The trip was long and difficult to survive because of the poor quality of food and water aboard ships and the infectious disease typhus or Palatine fever. Many immigrants, particularly children, died before reaching America in 1710. The Palatine immigration of 2,100 people who survived was the largest single immigration to America in the colonial period. Most were first settled along the Hudson River in work camps to pay off their passage. By 1711, 7 villages had been established in New York on the Robert Livingston Manor. In 1723, Germans became the first Europeans allowed to buy land in the Mohawk Valley west of Little Falls. 100 homesteads were allocated in the Brunsfield Patent. By 1750, the Germans occupied a strip some 12 miles, 19 kilometres long, along both sides of the Mohawk River. The soil was excellent. Some 500 houses were built, mostly of stone, and the region prospered in spite of Indian raids. Herkimer was the best known of the German settlements in the region, long known as the German Flats. The most famous of the early German Palatine pioneers was editor John Peter Zeniger, who in colonial New York led the fight for freedom of the press in America. A later immigrant, John Jacob Astor, who came from Baden after the Revolutionary War, became the richest man in America for his fur trading and real estate investments in New York City. The two waves of German colonists in 1714 and 1717 founded a large colony in Virginia known as Germania, located near modern-day Culpeper, Virginia. In North Carolina, German Moravians lived around Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, purchased nearly 100,000 acres or 400 square kilometres from Lord Graville, one of the British Lord Protectors, in the Piedmont of North Carolina in 1753. They established German settlements on that tract, especially in the area around what is now Winston-Salem. They also founded the transitional settlement of Bethabara, North Carolina, translated as House of Passage, the first planned Moravian community in North Carolina, in Bethania, North Carolina in 1759. Soon after, the German Moravians founded the town of Salem in 1766, now a historical section in the centre of Winston-Salem, and Salem College, an early female college, in 1772. A thriving population of Germans lived upriver from New Orleans, Louisiana, known as the German coast. They were attracted to the area through the pamphlets such as J. Hanno Delier's Louisiana, Home for German Settlers. German immigrants also settled in areas of the American South, including around the Dutch Fork area of South Carolina and Texas, especially in the Austin area. German Jews immigrated to the American South throughout the 19th century until the early 20th century, where they formed small German Jewish communities in many parts of the South, especially in cities and towns, where they most often worked as local and regional merchants, cattle livestock dealers, agricultural commodity traders, bankers and business owners. Henry Lehman founded Lehman Brothers in Alabama with his brother, in a particular prominent example of such a German Jewish immigrant. German Jews settled in cities like Charleston, South Carolina, where they founded the first Reformed synagogue, Congregation Kale Kadosh Ben Elon. In the country, German Jews also settled in southern cities and towns where they built German Jewish synagogues. Between 1742 and 1753, roughly 1,000 Germans settled in Broadbrae, Massachusetts, now Waldoboro Borough, Maine. Many of the colonists fled to Boston, Nova Scotia, and North Carolina after the houses were burned and their neighbours killed or carried into captivity by Native Americans. The Germans who remained found it difficult to survive on farming and eventually turned to shipping and fishing. Pennsylvania. The tide of German immigration to Pennsylvania swelled between 1725 and 1775, with immigrants arriving as redemptioners or indentured servants. By 1775, Germans constituted about one-third of the population of the state. German farmers were renowned for their highly productive animal husbandry and agricultural practices. Politically, they were generally inactive until 1740, when they joined a Quaker-led coalition that took control of the legislature, which later supported the American Revolution. Despite this, many of the German settlers were loyalists during the Revolution, possibly because of their fear that their rural land grants would be taken away by a new Republican government, or because of their loyalty to the British German monarchy, who had provided the opportunity to live in a liberal society, because German society had been feudal for many years. The Germans comprised Lutherans, Reformed, Mennonites, Amish, and other sects developed a rich religious life and a strong musical culture.